Don't wait till the battle's over. Wait. Don't wait till the struggle ends. Shout now. Shout now. Right now. Shout now. Shout now. Don't wait till you make it home.
Hey, this is Phillip, and welcome to the PHILLIP Show. I'm so glad you could join us today. Oh my goodness, we have such a treat for you today, as hopefully we always do. But first, let's get some coffee. Can't start the day without your English roast coffee. Even though it's in the evening, I'm still starting my day right now. So what we're going to talk about today is how to navigate to the point where you can say, I love all of me. Isn't that word all just kind of difficult? Because we always have some area where we either insecure, we'd like to change this, which is fine. Everything doesn't have to be a psychological breakdown, but in society today, we're all faced and bombarded with opportunities to second guess ourselves, right? And we're all faced and bombarded with having a perception or a perceived expectation of others, based on sometimes what images we see, how people respond to different people that may look a little bit different than us. And sometimes if people respond to others who look different than us in a positive way and they don't respond to us the same way, we'll start to look at the other person they responded to and see where we're lacking. So that person might be a little bit taller, they might be a little bit shorter, they might be a little bit thicker, they might be a little bit thinner, their hair might be a little bit more fine or coarse. But we look for those differences and we're faced with the opportunity to say, I want to change myself to be that way. They could be more successful. They could be, whatever it is. It doesn't always have to be physical. It could be a lot of different things. But to the point, we're always faced with the opportunity to change for something or someone else that is outside of or external, outside of us. So maybe we don't want to do that, but we feel like we have to because we want the results of what we're perceiving the other person is getting, the positive results, the attention, all of the positive comments. And sometimes those feelings are a little bit misplaced, but they are real nonetheless. So today we have on the show a brilliant young lady, and her name is Angelique Dozier. Now I'm going to give you a disclaimer. This show is all about authenticity, being true to who you are and being yourself, right? So I am letting you know right now, and I apologize to Angelique, that at the beginning of our interview, we had some technical difficulties. So I am right now re-recording her introduction, and part of our exchange when I'm welcoming her on the show was part of that technical difficulty. So I apologize right now to her and to all of you, but I wanted to be transparent and let you know that that kind of thing happens, right? Those kind of things happen. But it's going to be a great show nonetheless. So let me give you a little bit of background on this amazing young lady. Angelique, she's a professional makeup artist with over 18 years experience, and she lives in Atlanta, Georgia. And for 11 years, she has been in real estate and property management. So help me welcome Angelique Dozier to the show as we pick up where we left off. She begins speaking of how she began her career as a makeup artist and credits her college roommate for introducing her to the idea of makeup artistry. So let's jump back in and join Angelique Dozier as she gives us the background of how she began her career in makeup artistry. And from there, we'll move on to some deeper topics that are going to involve how we can love all of ourselves. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in. This is Angelique Dozier.
My roommate at the time was a hairstylist. So I was always not jealous, but like fixated on how she was able to make all this money in one night. So her mother sat me down, showed me how to do brows and lashes. So the next club night, which was like Thursday night, which was the Rose, I went to Alabama State University. So I started doing makeup. I mean, we just started from there. And then I came back home. And once I came back home, I couldn't find a job. My field was psychology. So the next best thing was I was walking in Greenbrier Mall, Macy's, and the young lady name was Robin.
Mm.
And Robin was the manager of the cosmetics over the whole cosmetic area. Next thing I know, she walked up to me and said, "You're beautiful. Um, have you ever done makeup before?" And I said, "No." She said, "Come see me Monday morning." Next thing I know, I was the counter manager at Fashion Fair.
Not the county manager.
It happened just that fast.
You better walk through a mall and get a management position. Come on now.
And I stayed at Greenbrier for about 3 years, and then next thing I know, I had already met Philip, and we became very close. And he became a manager of a great cosmetic line. And next thing I know, he hired me, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
That. So you left the world of retail cosmetics,
Correct.
but you stayed in the world of makeup artistry.
Correct.
So now, huh?
I was gonna say what was crazy for me was I was seeing all these women coming to get their makeup done, but they just want to get their makeup done. They didn't want to buy product. So I said I can take this on the road and just do makeup,
That
and
part.
that's how that started.
Yeah, yeah. So you've been doing that. Listen, I love this fact, and I didn't know this. I did not know that you had that you went to school for psychology.
Yes.
It all makes sense now.
Yes.
Mhm. It all makes sense now. So for the people that are watching, Angelique is a very outspoken person on Facebook, and it's really good because based on her saying that she does psychology, it makes sense because it's like the posts that she has and the conversations that she fosters are very much in depth and cause people to think, and people think and respond. So now that I know that, it's very much counseling moments.
Yes.
And talking about, easy to difficult topics that you're not afraid to tackle.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So okay. So we're talking about makeup, and now we're going to pair it with psychology.
Okay.
What is it, and then we're going to get a little bit deeper here in a second. What is it about making women beautiful that really entices you to continue on as a makeup artist? Of course, outside of the money part, but the impacting people's lives. Like, what is it about that kind of fuels you to keep moving forward in that?
The great thing about psychology is it's the study of human behavior. And you need that in order to get to know someone, whether that's a male or female, when you're doing their face. So with that being said, I tied the two in together. As soon as someone comes in my space or I go into their space, I immediately keying myself on what it is that they actually need. So if they need just an encouragement while they're going through the first part of the stages of their new relationship, if they're married and they're trying to bring back romance, those are certain things that I kind of, really get in on to see what's going on, to see how I can encourage and help them along the way. So they both definitely tie in together for sure.
Absolutely. And one of the things, the topic that we're talking about today is really being comfortable in your own skin. As a makeup artist myself, we always want to enhance beauty. Of course, we're creative, but the purpose isn't to create a new person.
Correct.
It's really to enhance and almost, I'll use the word encourage people to understand they're beautiful.
Yes.
With or without it. So for you, you have a great platform of being bold, of loving yourself, and encouraging people to do, inspiring people to do that through, some of your posts and through some of the things that you say. Yeah. Along your journey to get to, because I know it takes a while, being in psychology. I know you know that.
Still on the journey.
Listen. Help me understand. Tell me a little bit about, your journey to self, I guess, actualization and comfortability and learning to just love you for you, despite
Sure.
what, maybe society may say.
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
did you do that?
Well, one thing I started to do for me is start being honest with myself. I
Ooh.
believe in therapy. And I was I was a person that had so much on my shoulders because I'm an only child. I'm an only child of an older parent. So I felt like I had to immediately come out the gate and be extremely successful, make all these millions of dollars, and do X, Y, and Z. Only to come find out I wasn't able to do any of that in my 20s. Now, in my 30s, I'm starting to get the flow of it and how society works. But once I understood what society looks for in their standards of beauty, that's what changed a lot of things for me because I really was unrealistic of
Mm,
what people considered beautiful, because in my house, I'm the beautiful little princess, but I didn't know when I stepped outside the world, people didn't see me that way.
yeah.
They saw a plus size, fat, dark skinned woman.
Mm,
But I didn't know that. So when I finally got into that realization of it, I said, whoa, like this is not what I'm used to. So I had to regroup, understand what I was dealing with, and then come back better of an understanding of who people are. And
yeah.
no problem, you can be and think whoever you are, but it's about how I feel. And
Yeah.
I feel I'm still that beautiful princess. So you're going to respect me in that manner. So it's all about your perception of things and you being honest with yourself and understanding what's going on in the world around you.
Yeah. There was this phrase that I saw, and it said, "Your perception is none of my business."
Yes.
And I loved it.
Yep.
I loved it because I was like, you know what? You're right. Because we can get so sidetracked
Yes.
by trying to live up to a perception, and at the end of the day, it's none of their business.
It's none of my business what you think of me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So how did you go from, what did you have to do? Because I know it was difficult.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
what did you have to do in order to say, wait a minute, I'm okay. Like I
Yeah.
am okay. So what did you have to do?
But the personal story is I was seeing a guy,
Okay.
and from the age of 15 till about 28. We were never in a relationship, no, but he was my first.
Mhm.
And he was the person that I felt I could trust.
Okay.
Well, at around 28 years old, I had like an aha moment, as Oprah would say.
Okay.
And that was him sitting me down and basically saying that he was ashamed that people knew that we had any dealings with each other.
Mm.
And he was just embarrassed because I was not the ideal looking girl that he was supposed to be with.
Mm.
That took over 5 years of therapy. We're talking
Wow.
about thousands of dollars for me to, because you can just imagine what that would do to somebody's self-esteem,
Absolutely.
to somebody's self-worth. And once I went to therapy and she let me know about people's perception,
Mm.
and she explained to me about how people have an idea of what they think is beautiful. But unless you truly, beauty is only a part of it. Unless
Mm.
you are beautiful within,
Mm.
then that's
Come
truly
on.
what matters. So I start to say, wow, maybe I just need to work on the inside of me
Mm.
because I can't change, or I mean I can change aesthetically, but I can only work with where I am right now.
Sure.
So in order for me to work with where I am right now, let me work on the inside of me. So that spirit man is what I had to get together. Once I got that together
Yeah.
mentally, everything else started to fall into place on the physical side.
Did you have to learn did you have to learn the why of change? Because I think that from what you were just saying, you had the opportunity to change, not for you,
Mm-hmm.
but for somebody else to get something that you may perceive that you wouldn't get if you stayed who you are.
Yes.
So did you feel the pressure of that to say or the battle? I guess that would be more internal. It's like, okay, do I change for the situation, for him, or am I changing for me?
I'm definitely changing for me, but also to add to that, I had to look at things from the outside looking in and say, hey, maybe your perception, like me, my perception of things is being unrealistic and not understanding the lane that I'm in. Sometimes we can get fixated and have these big old ideas of what we think we deserve. And that just may not be so. So I had to, like I said, be honest and say, hey, this is where you are. This is where you want to be. So this is what you need to work on. So there was a why of understanding unrealistic expectations.
That's so deep. That is so deep, because that will be the catalyst for change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that mirror moment where you stand in front of the mirror, you know, either physically or proverbially, and you just look at yourself, identify, and say, okay, I'm going to put a plan together because I want to do X, Y, and Z. I want, not for anybody else.
Not for him, not for her, but for me.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So, in your journey, you know, going to the epitome of the mountain, you know, getting to that point, and I know we're still on the journey, but you know, again, we're higher than we used to be.
Yes.
You know, we're higher up on the mountain than we used to be. So getting to that point where you can say, you know what, I love all of me. Mm-hmm. You know, and in your scenario, you talked about being a plus size girl, and I know that there's a stigma. Mm-hmm. You know, America, the world is very good at size 1, 2, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. You know? And that's a very unrealistic thing. Mm-hmm. You know, so getting to that place where it's like, I love all of me. How did that make you feel when you kind of got that aha moment and you could kind of transition your life and say, you know what, I think I got it.
Yeah. Like I said, I just took a breath and said, hey, you may not be what someone else wants you to be, but you're okay with you. Be okay with you.
Be okay with you.
I had to start every morning saying my affirmations, talking about how powerful I am, talking about how beautiful I am, like really beautiful, not actually what people thought. Mm-hmm. But actually what I saw.
Sure.
I saw someone that was beautiful and that was striving and making strides towards life. I saw someone that wanted to be all that she can be, not only for her mother, for whoever she associated with, just for herself. And I just made that decision of, I love you, girl. Don't worry about anything else. I love you. Like, don't even think about you not being married, you not having children. Think about the love you have for yourself, because when you truly love yourself, that's when somebody else can come in and love you. Yeah. So it took a time. It took a time for me to truly fall in love with me.
I love how you explained that, because when you were talking, and this is so pivotal to me, and this is one lesson that you just taught in a very, very awesome way. You just said some attributes of, you know, be okay with yourself and you love yourself. You went through all of these attributes and characteristics. Not one of them had to do with anything physical.
Nope.
You know, you're beautiful, and you didn't mention anything about anything physical. And I think that people need to get to there.
Yeah. Because
even though we see the shell, when you're talking about looking, you know, you said look in the mirror like, I love you, girl. And then the reason why you love them is because I'm striving. you're a good person. There's all these characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, would you agree, like sometimes when we think about loving ourselves, we only think about the physical.
Correct. And the physical is only an entity. You have many other components like your mental, your emotions, your spiritual. Physical is way down the list. You can get the physical. That's not a problem. Just like I tell people all the time, you can lose weight. You can put on makeup and even out your skin complexion. That's not a problem. The problem is when you don't understand mentally that something's going on with you.
Yeah.
The problem is when you don't understand your own toxicity of what you are doing to yourself, the self-sabotaging of what you're doing to yourself.
Wow.
That's the problem. When you can't sit down and truly be honest and say, you know what, excuse my expression, and I don't think we can cuss here, but me, not him, not her, not them, but me. When you can truly be honest, that's when things will start rolling in your life. That's when you'll truly be able to understand the love that you have for yourself. But you can't do that without honesty.
Yeah, that is huge. That is huge. It's getting down to the inner person. The core of it all, because it all goes within. When we die, this shell will go away. Yeah. But what happened to the inside of you? Yeah. What did you do to make a difference from the inside? That's really what matters. Yeah. Do you think a lot of people miss that part? Oh, shoot, yeah. Definitely, because we're so fixated on society and how we're supposed to go get that next dollar. That's what, in order to get that next dollar, I got to have this type of person on my arm. I have to do this. I have to look a certain way. I have to be a certain way. My hair has to look like this. I have to wear this. No, the true core of who you are is what brings you to a room. And when you understand that and you're able to be your most authentic self, everything else will follow suit. Do you think that it's like the same rules apply, like you were talking about, to be successful? You got to get this, you got to get this, you got to get this, you got to get this. Do you think that the same rules apply to men? I think that men have, especially black men, because I pay attention to black men. Black men have a harder dynamic when it comes to trying to be successful. And what I mean by that is because we already deal with extreme trauma, and black men especially, black women are able to be honest and open and direct and tell you how they're feeling. Some are. But our men, none of our men are able to truly express what's going on with them and why they're able to do the things that they're doing. So until we recognize that, they can't be successful because they're still trying to run a rat race that was not even built for them to run. So I feel like, no, it's not the same playing field with men, because first, men have to be okay with expressing how they feel. Yeah. And people are not. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a very, very, very good point. Yeah. As a business owner, for you, there's so many layers to this subject. We could go on all day. Yeah. As a business owner, basically, like we were just talking about men, do you find that it's very difficult to be a single successful woman, especially when you're looking to, and I don't know if you're looking to, but especially if you want to be in the dating world, you find being successful and beautiful is very difficult? Intimidating would probably be a word a lot of people would use. I don't know if it's intimidating, because I think the money does not matter. But if I don't know how, a lot of people are done with gender roles, and I understand why. But if I don't know how to be a woman, if I don't know how to be feminine, if I don't understand the way that I speak and talk to somebody can bring life or death, good point. If I don't understand just that alone, it can be shattering when you want to be. Most women want to be married. I mean, let's just put that out there. Most women, if they say they don't, they're lying, because we all are made to be loved.
That's the whole purpose. You want to be with somebody, you want to be loved. However, a lot of us are not getting that love because we've put a lot of things before the love. And that's what's most important.
Yeah.
The most important component is truly finding you somebody and loving them through their flaws and all. But as soon as we see a flaw, we immediately aspirate. We leave.
Yeah.
You know? So we don't fight anymore and we don't help people grow. And that can be a downfall. You will help that business grow though. You'll help that business owner continue to keep getting his checks.
Yeah.
But you won't help that person that you loved to be better than they were yesterday.
Yeah.
That if you can't understand that, then what's the point?
Yeah. No, that's really good. It's almost every man and woman for themselves.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of times I'll look at just what's going on in society. We have a lot more entrances into conversations and based on social media than we had before. That gives people the courage to kind of assume that they have more options than they had before. You know, because now you can just get rid of somebody, get on some little chat, and find somebody in 10 minutes. We couldn't do that when we had rotary phones. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't do that back then. You know, but I think you're absolutely right. And it goes back to psychology. You have to be comfortable with who you are, know who you are, build yourself up to even be wanted by you.
Yes.
In order to be a prize for for somebody else. If you don't want yourself.
But here's the thing, we're both prizes. You know, man and woman, you're both a prize. And there's nothing wrong with having boundaries. But the problem is when you have expectations of people when they never showed you they had those capabilities of being what you want them to be.
Isn't that something?
People are going to be who they are. So are you going to accept them in who they are? Or are you going to be done with it? And the problem is so many of us are being done with it. We're not okay. Hey, once you put that boundary down there and say, hey, this right here you're doing, I just can't rock with that. Can you change this? If you don't see them trying to change, then guess what? That's something totally different. But if they're trying to make a difference, if they're trying to figure out how to do things the correct way, then work with them.
Yeah.
Because you want somebody to work with you. And your flaws and all, because no human is perfect.
Right. So if you were to, you know, in our market and everybody that's going to be watching, or that is watching, hello everybody. If you give somebody some advice who may be searching for that moment, their aha moment, to really accept themselves and accept all of them, give them some advice.
I have some perfect advice that I have written down that I want to read to you. So one thing I was, and these are things that I did for myself, I was willing to feel the pain and take responsibilities for my feelings. Oftentimes we have a blockage. We become very emotionless. And not feel when we're in pain. Start to really go through those emotions, because if you don't, you will have a bitterness and a malice that takes over you. And you don't want that, because it will carry on to the next people that come into your life. The next one is build into the intent to learn. Be open. A lot of us are so closed off and narrow-minded that we're only fixated on what we know to be true. But there's so many other truths. Be open to learn. The next one is learn about your false beliefs. A lot of us were taught things that at the end of the day was not necessarily what the bee's knees is.
Wow. Yeah.
Be okay with understanding that you may have been taught this, but there's another way you can learn this. So be okay with learning it all, not just one entity. And then start a dialogue with your higher self. Get in tune with your spiritual man. I cannot stress that enough, because when you are in tune with who you truly are, then that's when you connect to God. That's when you connect to the Most High. That's when you connect to Yahweh and whoever you believe in. But you can't do that if you're not at your core solid. And then take a loving action. Be okay with just operating out of the spirit of love. I talk about that all the time because a lot of us, you can disagree with me. You can be Republican, you can be a Democrat, you can be this religion, that religion. But if I can still love you, even with whatever you believe, that will bring people closer together. So if you just work on those 5 things, you will be amazed how your life will transform.
Wow. Wow. Well, that is amazing. And I hope that everybody wrote that down. And if you didn't, just replay the video. And wow. Angelique, thank you so much for being here and just depositing all these things into us. You are completely a light. I'm calling you Dr. Leek.
Speak it one day.
Yes, that's Dr. Leek to you all. So, but thank you so much for coming. And I hope that that we can get you back on the show and talk about many more things because you're very, very again insightful and your advice is spot on. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I love you.
Absolutely. All right, so you all, thank you so much for coming and tuning in. Angelique dropped some nuggets, so just absorb that. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show to share your inspiring story, or if you have a unique brand or business, we would love to feature you. Go to phillipwork.com and all the information is there. Again, thank you for watching, and remember, you are the best you in the world. We'll see you later.
Don't